So today I'm starting a new kind of series about language learning because I have a bunch of things to say about it. And the first thing I want to talk about today is the accent. So if you have been working internationally with any French person, honestly, and I do right now when we speak in a call in English and I have a bunch of French people, etc., they have a very terrible accent. And I'm French as well, but I don't. I have a alright accent. You can tell I'm not a native speaker, but I get my point across and I'm easy to understand. And I want to talk about why it's that. And the common mistake I see when I hear either French or other people making mistakes with their accents. And I think it's twofold, and it's very important to understand when it comes to understanding language learning as a whole. First is because we often say that I often heard, and it's very true, that accent is speaking a language with the rule of another one, of your native tongue. And that's very true. And for example, what I see most often is to be caught up on reading without the understanding of the language, without the sound. So, for example, the word, for example, available is like often mispronounced as available in French or something like that. I'm doing the bad French accent, but basically they read the English word as if it was French with the they just see the word and they try to pronounce it with a French with French basically. And that's the first mistake, is to rely too much on reading words and not correcting yourself enough with like hearing it actually. Hearing and listening is super important. I don't exactly know why I have a better accent than the average, but I think most of it is because I watch a lot of YouTube. I think most of my English fluency and capacity come from PewDiePie, to be honest, because that's where I started to listen to things online, where I started to listen to content in a very big way was when I started to get into YouTube and listening to, for example, PewDiePie, where because I really wanted to understand what he was saying. So that's how I understood. I started to develop easiness when it comes to spoken language, understanding it. And I really think that it influenced my accent in a big way, that I was able to hear a lot and being able to compare what I thought a word was. It's just about correcting yourself. Uh, Seeing a word, sorry, and my accent, and um, comparing it to what it's actually pronounced it. So that's one part. So I really believe that hearing is very important for language learning, but it's not enough. And I learned that very recently, and that's something I really want to share with you. If you're only going by hearings, sorry, my accent is terrible today. But if you're only going by audio, if you're going to only, for example, listen to a sentence and trying to repeat it, it might not work because uh, well, typically because of your of how you've been raised in your native language, you will be influenced in the way you are hearing, sorry, in the way you are, perceiving the audio, and it might be completely wrong, and that's something you need to correct somehow. So how do you correct when you misunderstand the audio and mispronouncing it in return? Well, there the text becomes very useful. What I want you to understand is that a good accent is built by mixing the text and the audio and not by using one in isolation. Recently, there was a video about someone who was learning Polish, so that's the language I'm learning right now, uh, that yeah, basically did, I think, a month or two of shadowing, which is exactly what I described, hearing a sentence and repeating it with the text in front of him. And I mean, it was quite impressive the way he was able to imitate the language, but the accent was not that great. And I could tell because I know the language. I could tell that he was reading. He was pronouncing it as someone who cannot read. He wasn't able to read probably the language because Polish has this very nice property that it's phonetic. So it's pronounced most of the time, at least, it's pronounced exactly as it is written. So it's a very good help for that to develop a good accent. And in that, it's very important to base yourself on the text to correct the way you heard. There is plenty of time where I hear a word, when I hear a word and I try to pronounce it back, but I cannot pronounce it back correctly until I see it written, so that I can understand, for example, the difference. Because for example, I have trouble hearing the difference between sh and ch, which is not the same letter which is not the same thing in Polish at all. There are words that are completely different from one another, and and that's why text is very important to correct the way you hear, because sometimes it just doesn't work correctly. um, that's basically that. What I want you to understand once again is that if you rely too much on one method, and I think that's something that is very true in general in language learning. If you rely on one thing, so only audio, only text, you're not gonna get anywhere, or you're just gonna confirm yourself in your own mistake and not realize them until a long time. A tutor might help for that, but if you are a self learner like I am, making it a habit to have the both, not at the same time necessarily, but if you have enough exposure to be able to just correct what you thought was true, or how something was pronounced. Sometimes also, uh, something very silly, but for example, I would read a word very quickly, like just looking at the shape, etc., and think I know how to pronounce it, but actually I need to actually read each letter to understand that, oh, it's not this word I was thinking about, it was another one that looks like it. And that's also one way you can correct your mistake. It's just like being more conscious and just catching yourself when you're doing something something wrong. I think also, something that is has to be said also, uh, most of it is also caring. Most of it is also, if someone doesn't care enough to correct their accent, they're not going to correct their accent. And so, as long as you care, as long as you are um, caring about delivering your message correctly and being able to pronounce things correctly and not being a burden to listen to, you'll get somewhere. That's basically also my message for you. So yeah, diversify your input and also care. That's very important. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video about language learning. That will be the topic for today. Bye.